a very common question is, how long does it take for the Earth to go around the Sun one time? Or in other words, how long does it take for the Earth to revolve around the Sun? And of course, we have the answer to that, and we're going to share it with you in this video. So stay tuned. Greetings, fellow scholars. Here we always love to share the universe's biggest questions and, of course, their answers. And this question is both huge and also simple at the same time. So let's jump right into it. How long does it take for the Earth to revolve around the Sun? Well, for that, we'll have to make some definitions first. We know that the Earth revolves around the Sun, but what does revolving around mean? This means that the Earth makes one full rotation around an axis that is going through the center of the Earth and is perpendicular to the surface of the Earth. This way, every part of the Earth would be given a chance to face either towards the Sun or away from it. So now we know that the Earth must rotate 360 degrees around the Sun. But wait, there's more. The Earth also revolves around the Sun. And this means that while rotating around the Sun, the Earth itself is moving around the Sun in a curved path. And we call this orbit. So the Earth makes one full orbit around the Sun. These two motions are different. Rotating is one thing, and then orbiting around something else is another. So now we know that the Earth makes one full rotation around its axis, which we also call a day, and that takes 24 hours. However, when it comes to the revolution around the Sun, this is where things get a little bit tricky, because the Earth doesn't move with a constant speed. If it did, we could easily calculate how long it would take for the Earth to make one full revolution around the Sun by knowing its distance. However, since the Earth moves faster when at S, closer to the Sun, and slower when at S, farther away from the Sun, we'll need to use a different method. And this is what we're going to do next. We're going to show you how we can calculate the time it takes for the Earth to revolve around the Sun. We know that the Earth revolves around the Sun in an elliptical path, which means that the Earth's distance from the Sun is not always the same. In fact, the shortest distance between the Earth and the Sun occurs at which happens every January or February. During this time, the Earth is just about 147 million kilometers from the Sun. On the other hand, the greatest distance between the Earth and the Sun happens at which occurs every July or August, and the Earth is at a distance of 152 million kilometers from the Sun. As we mentioned earlier, the Earth moves faster when at S, closer to the Sun, and slower when at S, farther away from the Sun. If the Earth was moving with the average speed, it would take 365.25 days to go around the Sun. However, since it sometimes goes faster and sometimes slower, it ends up taking a whole year to make one full revolution around the Sun, or more precisely, 365.2422 days. Yes, we even know up to how many days it takes for the Earth to revolve around the Sun. And of course, a year isn't just divided into days, but it's also divided into months. And we usually have 12 months in a year. Of course, some months have only 28 or 29 days, while others have 30 or 31 days. So if we want to know how long does it take for the Earth to revolve around the Sun in months, we have to multiply the number of days it takes for the Earth to revolve around the Sun with the number of days each month has. Now that may sound quite complicated, but really it is very simple, because we already know that it takes 365.2 days for the Earth to revolve around the Sun. And if we divide that number of days by the number of days each month has on average, which is 30.44 days per month, we get 12 months. In other words, if we want to find out how long it takes for the Earth to revolve around the Sun in months, all we have to do is multiply 365.2422 days by 12 months, and we get 4,382.9 months. And since we don't usually have fractions of a month, we round up to 4,383 months. And that's how many months it takes for the Earth to revolve around the Sun. So now we know that it takes 365.2422 days for the Earth to revolve around the Sun. It also takes 4,382.9 months for the Earth to revolve around the Sun. And finally, it also takes 12.33 years for the Earth to revolve around the Sun once. And this brings us to the most important part of this video, and that is to show you what these numbers actually mean. First of all, we need to understand that these numbers are averages. The Earth doesn't always revolve around the Sun in exactly 365.2422 days. Sometimes it takes a little less time, and sometimes it takes a little more time. For example, in 2020, the Earth revolved around the Sun in 366 days. Because it was a leap year, during a leap year, the Earth experiences an extra day in February, and this pushes the number of days in a year to 366 days instead of 365 days. Another thing we need to keep in mind is that these numbers are based on the Gregorian calendar. This calendar was created in 1582 by Pope Gregory VIII and is currently used by most countries around the world. However, there are other calendars such as the Julian calendar, which was created in 45 BC by Julius Caesar and was used by the Roman Empire for many years. Or the Coptic calendar, which is used by the Coptic Orthodox Church and is based on the ancient Egyptian calendar. In addition, we should also keep in mind that these numbers are based on the assumption that the Earth's orbit around the Sun is circular. However, as we mentioned earlier, the Earth's orbit is actually elliptical. Finally, it is important to note that these numbers are based on the current state of our knowledge and technology. As we continue to learn more about the universe and improve our technology, these numbers may change. For example, in the past, scientists believed that the Earth revolved around the Sun in exactly 360 days. However, with the development of more accurate measurement tools, they were able to determine that it actually takes 365.2422 days for the Earth to revolve around the Sun. So, do you think we've answered the question? Now you know how long does it take for the Earth to revolve around the Sun, and that is 365.242 days or 12 months or 12.33 years. If you like optimistic science and tech stories, follow for more updates. Also, check out our new podcast, where we bring you the most amazing space discoveries of all time. You can listen to it on various platforms. Thank you for watching, and see you next time!